This is one of their mobile kitchens that they actually...
Is that even some, what I call habitual...
Beautiful Stop and Shop in the Wilton. Penalty, but it was actually a tax, and that it... Absolutely. What's the name of the show? Good evening and welcome once again to the Marty Heiser Show, where you always get the truth. Or much like Hillary Clinton says, she said that her husband or husbands of white women told them to vote for Trump, and that's why Trump won the election. It's unbelievable. And I have a producer, a sidekick, a co-host that tells me I should say, where you always get the truth. So that's what I said, because like white women in America that voted for Trump, I'm easily pliable. Go ahead, Google that. I think it's a good word usage for pliable. But it's true. First things first, I would just like to commend on the cover of every single paper are the high school students that walked out in protest against gun violence. And it's interesting because this seems to be a groundswell movement. I reached out to many of these high school students. Maybe some of them will phone in. And by the way, the phone number here is 438-2003. If you want to join the conversation, dial that number. We'll put you right on the air. We have a crack high-tech team that coordinates the phone lines. You call, we'll put you on the air. But we reached out to many of these high school students for what was really a groundswell of support against violence in their schools. Now, you may say, hey, what we need to do is focus on mental health. What we need to do is get rid of those scary-looking weapons. What we really need to do is have some sort of hardened targets at the school. Whatever you think the solution is, I think that the voice of the youth needs to be listened to. So if you're out there, those of you that I reached out to, take a minute, call in, and give us your perspective. But the the Danbury News Times had an article about it, and there was a gentleman named Garrett Marino that was involved with that. The Ridgefield Press, I believe one of the students in Ridgefield was the one to start that. And then there was other on USA Today. Same idea, students being involved. They seem, for better or worse, to be on the front line of this violence. Another thought I had, this whole thing with Donald Trump and the political divide in this country is getting a little out of hand. The hatred for Donald Trump, I thought at this point it would dissipate just a little. I thought when you look at how he's attempting to and maybe making some headway to bring peace to the Korean Peninsula, when you see that he did what he said he was going to do vis-a-vis ISIS, bomb the crap out of them, and you see ISIS has dissolved into 2% of the caliphate that it originally held. When I look at the tax cut, the increase in the economy, do you realize that last month we added 313,000 new jobs? Actually, they underestimated the month before. So there was actually 50,000 that should be given credit to in the next month. So let's round it out to 360,000 new jobs. And I would think that at this point you say, okay, maybe he isn't my cup of tea. Maybe I don't like his posture and his ego. But my gosh, he really is doing a good job being president. I mean, it's interesting to see. You don't see riots in the street. You don't see policemen being gunned down. You don't see, hey, what do we want? Dead cops, when do we want them now? No, you see respect for the police. You see respect for the military. You see America being made great again. And yet some of my Democratic friends, I think, are so angry. It's really rather unseemly. When I look back at the Obama administration, I wasn't too happy that Obama got elected. I thought maybe Mitt Romney or John McCain would have made a better president. But there was a big part of me that felt proud to be an American, that we elected a minority president. I thought it said a lot of good about us. I give Barack Obama credit for first being the first African American elected to that high office. I feel like that ceiling has been shattered. And then also I give him credit for taking out Osama bin Laden. When you consider that it destroyed Jimmy Carter's presidency when he went in to try to rescue the hostages in Iran, It was a really gutsy move. And I thought that was great. I have relatives in the military, and I think it's just fantastic what he did. I wasn't happy with the IRS scandal where he targeted political groups that he didn't agree with, political groups that had Patriot in their name. I didn't like when we had the Osama bin Laden's bill when the military, he cut down the military and took away some of the initial engagements that the military was allowed to do. I didn't like that, but I didn't have this intense hatred for Barack Obama. I didn't have a daddy issue vis-a-vis Barack Obama. But I just want to read a letter from a Navy SEAL's mother. This is a Navy SEAL who died in what's called Extortion 17. It was when a Chinook helicopter was shot down in Afghanistan. But listen to what she says. This is a fellow American, and this is from the heart, because at the end of the day, we are all Americans. Sometimes God uses the no-nonsense, salty sailor to get the job done. Appreciating what the man is doing doesn't mean we worship the salty sailor or even desire to be like the salty sailor. It doesn't even mean God admires the salty sailor. Maybe he just knows he's necessary for such a time as this. I believe with all my heart that God placed this salty sailor in the White House and gave this nation one more chance in November 2016. Donald Trump is what he is. He is still the man he was before the election, and without guilt, I very much admire that salty sailor in his accomplishments. He's not like me. That's okay with me. I don't want to be like him. I never will behave like him. I know we've never had a man like him lead our country. It's crazy and a little mind-blowing at times, but I can't help but admire the ability he has to act with his heart rather than to calculate, PC, think tank screen, carefully edited script. I still believe that is why he became our president, and why he's been able to handle the landslide of adversity and still pass unprecedented amounts of good legislation for our country and do many great works for many nations, including Israel. You know, taking the capital from Israel, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I'm thrilled that he's doing what he's doing for my nation, for the cause of Christ. Whether intentional or unintentional doesn't matter to me. And for the concept of rebuilding America and putting her first. I will not be ashamed of my position because others don't see him through the same lens. Should it matter to me if a fireman drops an F-bomb while he's pulling me out of a burning building? Would I really care about what came out of the mouth in those moments? Heck no. I'd care about what he was doing. He wasn't sent there to save my soul, and I'm not looking to him for spiritual guidance. All I'm thinking in those moments is, thank you, Jesus, for sending the firemen. I'll post this article below for those who still might not understand me. This man is crass, okay. He's not careful with what he says, okay. You feel offended that he's not a typical statesman, okay. But he is rebuilding the nation my son died for. And by the way, this is the SEAL, his son that died in Extortion 17. He's rebuilding the nation my son died for. The nation I feared was on a fast track to becoming a hopeless cause. Forgive me if I'm smiling. That's the mother of fallen Navy SEAL, Karen Vaughn. And I think she captures the sentiment of many Americans that voted for Donald Trump. It doesn't mean we don't see what we're seeing. It doesn't mean that we're blindly following a leader. It doesn't mean that we're racist or bigoted or anti-immigration. It just means that we're proud Americans and we're happy what he's doing. And this criticism, this incessant criticism of our president, and really an animus that develops between fellow Americans, I think should be somewhat checked. Barack Obama was president for 8 years. I never once called him some of the words I hear coming from the opposite side. Give the guy a chance and forgive us if we're smiling. Okay, joining us today we have Dave Streit.
Yeah.
And much more importantly, candidate for the you're good. But candidate for the United States Senate, Joe Visconti, has joined us, has given us his presence this evening, and I want to thank you both. But sorry, did I overlook you?
No, that's okay. I feel like I have something in common with like number 10 Downing Street. I'm always like the 10th person you ask to come on here, you know?
No, it's not.
No,
You're like a
You were the whole
co-producer of this show.
so
You are it.
You were the whole show tonight.
Well, I know. Well, now we got a pretty good balance here. But one of the things I just wanted to lead in with is Stephen Hawkins
Hold on a
passing
second.
away, right?
Yes.
And you commented earlier he's no longer an atheist.
Well, that's my perspective.
And I would also say now he knows the secrets of the universe, right?
I think he may have met the creator of the universe.
Well, I remember 1 Corinthians 3:19 where it says, "For the wisdom of the world is foolishness in God's eyes." Pretty profound, right?
It could be. When you consider all that's made, when you consider the Milky Way, when you consider how infinite the universe is, and just in our planetary grouping here, there's billions and billions and billions of them all over. And then you say that, oh, we're just an accident of a godless cosmos. There's no intelligent design. I don't know. To me, it takes a lot less faith to believe in a creator that created all this beauty that we see.
Well, and before we segue into some of the other things you touched on in your opening monologue, and I hate to like rub your nose in this.
Go ahead.
You know what I mean? But I mean, when you're wrong, you got to know you're wrong, right?
Go ahead.
So remember when you were praising Donald Trump for rushing to judgment and bombing Syria because of an alleged sarin gas attack, right? Chemical attack.
Yes.
And you were so convinced because they've got the proof.
Yes.
Okay. So what did your hero, Mr. Tough Talking, Mad Dog Mattis, say when he was being asked about the situation?
Go
He
ahead.
said, regarding the presence of any type of chemical weapon used in Syria in 2013 and 2017, he said, "I don't have the evidence. What I'm saying is that other groups are on the ground, NGOs, fighters on the ground." He said that they said that sarin had been used, so we are still looking for the evidence. That's 1 year later, from 2017, when we went over there and bombed. In 5 years later, after we bombed, we bombed them in 2013, accusing them of something. Still looking for the evidence, and yet we rushed over there to bomb them. So please, you really
That's
can't.
a great,
first of all,
I got to jump in here because I
Go
just
ahead.
wrote something about. I've been studying this as a Trump supporter in the middle of it and after, and I just want to mention some words that I wrote down on a piece of paper we got over here about what drives the left crazy about Trump. And at the end of the day, you know he's a billionaire, you know he's succeeded, and yet everything that he's used in his thinking process, because this is really a Trump Rorschach test. This whole thing America's going through. We've got algebraic equations. You remember algebra in school?
Sure.
This, then derivatives in calculus. He takes, like the Roadrunner, he blows it up. I'll just put out words: sequencing of thoughts, suspense, cadence, assumption, facts, endgame. He commingles it, mixes it up intentionally, which drives the left because they're more orderly, more higher learning, step-by-step logic. And this is part of what made him a successful businessman. But as president, we are not, I'm not either, and you aren't either, used to presidents doing this. We love it because we just want the Midas touch. We want America to be financially successful. That's the real truth. But it's must aggravate. I see it, I go, wow, here, I just wrote it. What's next? You get up in the morning on Twitter, what the heck is next with this guy? So he doesn't give you, that's what suspense and cadence and rhythm and non-algebraic logic.
Yeah.
None of it is being utilized as the presidency as the leader of the free world, which is putting everyone on the edge of their seat, not knowing what he will do next. I would just ask everyone, left or right, look at the results. They're not smooth like Obama, which was rolled out professionally, higher learning, the way you would do it.
Yeah.
In politics. And so he's got a mom and pop government going. He really does. And so that, again, drives, I don't want to just say the left. For those who are structured, want to know, anticipate, want to know dollars and cents how this is going to work out. Will there be a lot of debt at the end of this tax break? Will, let's project, even like with Reagan. So he doesn't deliver it. I'm not saying I approve of it. I'm saying that it really is. I notice, I'm from West Hartford, I talk at a coffee shop every morning with lefties, and they're like, and they tell me, cut the stop. He does this and he does that. They want him to follow certain rules.
To
He's
your
not
point,
going to.
let's just take one case study. Kim Jong-un in North Korea. You know, first of all, he comes up, he's firing rockets at people, he's, you know, testing nuclear weapons and so forth. Trump comes up, the first thing he said was, we're going to bring you fire and fury, the likes of what you've never seen before.
Which scares the hell out of a lot of people.
It scares the hell out of half of America, maybe
Right, that's what I
three-quarters of
mean.
America,
That's what I
but it
mean.
also scares the hell out of him. And then they said, well, what about something like, well, how's it like to negotiate with a crazy person? He goes, well, he doesn't have to worry about that crazy person, he has to worry about me. And then all of a sudden, yeah, the guy sends a tweet or something over. He says, you know, you have a crazy old man in the White House, and he tweets back saying, I don't know why he calls me old. I don't call him short and fat.
The best thing the left could do is not take him so serious.
Oh, I know, but
If
that's a
they
perfect.
didn't do that, and they kind of chuckled and laughed, they could have fun with this. They really, I think they could.
Yeah, but look at the results then in the Korean Peninsula. All of a sudden, he's like, look, he gets China to put some pressure on. He puts these embargoes on and tariffs and everything. Serious one turns up the heat. There's a new sheriff in town. You're not getting
Look what
anything
he just
from
did
us.
with Chris Murphy the other day. He took him aside in the White House, and he said, we're going to get this done, which everyone agrees we want any loophole, possibly, to be, you know, for background checks. So he completely disarms Chris Murphy, who I'm running against now. And Murphy's been silent, like, I'm waiting, because he has to backpedal to wait. This is the president.
Yeah.
And he does want something from him, but politically, Trump could be, you know, he's a, what do they call that? Shape-shifter.
Yeah.
He could be a Democrat, a Republican. He doesn't have it. He doesn't really have a party identity.
Hold on a second.
And that's Murphy's experiencing it. Chuck Schumer experienced it.
Yeah.
Because they know him.
And
At
Kim
least Schumer.
Jong-un is experiencing
Well, now they're
it
experiencing
because he comes around and says, listen, I'll cut off all testing, no more rocket launches, just come and meet me and we'll see what happens. But Rich, what are your thoughts here, quickly?
What are your thoughts here, quickly? Marty, the problem with Trump is he doesn't know what he's doing. It's really simple. Look at what happened just yesterday, where he showed to his donors that he lied to Trudeau, and he didn't know what he was talking about.
But you got to read the whole article.
He told his donors that he out and out lied and made it up. And Marty, you still support this clown?
Oh, I love Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump
that
is the
was-
best
that was-
thing
that
that
was
has
half of the
happened.
article. He read
But thanks for that. We're going to talk about Trudeau and the trade imbalance with
He read half that
Canada.
article on Politico. The second half, if you finish the article at the very bottom, Trump goes on to send people outside and ask them, his people,
Yeah.
is this true we don't have this? And then under certain materials, I think it excludes energy and metal or
Yeah.
steel. So in other words, we do have them, but we don't. But the Political article is written in such a way, it's got that gotcha headline.
And they have an audio tape of him saying,
Well,
I don't know if
no,
we
he
had a
says
trade
it.
imbalance or we don't have a trade
No,
imbalance.
what I mean is he continues, Trump, in this Political article to keep talking. And the left hangs on to the headline. At the bottom, he actually sends people out to find out we do have a trade imbalance. But it's because they exclude energy and steel from the imbalance, it's
Yeah.
pushed over here. So he continues talking to those donors,
Yeah.
but it's in the article, but that doesn't make the headline.
Yeah.
The lefties grab it
Well,
like
they have a
like
great
they
hit.
do with Sarah Palin Can See Russia,
Yeah.
and they put it in a box.
I know, but the thing
It's
is,
clickbait.
people aren't buying it anymore. They're not buying it. You've got this echo chamber called the mainstream media, and they're just feeding. Oh yeah, Trump's an idiot. Trump's an idiot. Trump's an idiot. Wait, he's bringing priests to Korea? Oh no, he's an idiot. Yeah, Trump's a identity television, reality television star. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. Wait. We had 360,000 new jobs in 1 month. Oh, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. Wait. ISIS is completely decimated. Oh, he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he keeps doing a great job.
This is clickbait for
Well,
corporate media.
the other thing
Corporate media
is when it comes to
clickbait.
tariffs, right? The liberals are big fans of tariffs. The liberals never saw a tariff they didn't like, unless Trump does it. Then it's a bad thing. But I got to call you out on your opening rant again, Marty.
Go ahead.
Look, I mean, when you get it wrong, you get it wrong. But I mean, here you are applauding the kids for organizing in schools and going on their little protests.
I really wanted these young folks to come in and have a moment to share. And by the way, if you're still out there and you'd like to call, join Rich. The phone number's right there, 203-438-2003.
Marty, I'm outraged by that. I'm outraged.
Why are you outraged?
Because, I mean, there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, right? and imposing the liberal agenda is the religion of the left. When was the last time we had a walkout for 1 million kids that are being slaughtered every year in this country? What?
Is he Republican?
When was the last time we had a walkout to support the anti-abortion movement? I want that. That's on my dime. What they're proposing here is absolutely preposterous. Half the kids walking out have no idea why they're doing it. They're being encouraged to do it for whatever reason. I mean, there's a money trail behind it. And this effort is the height of racism, right? Because the only reason they're doing it is because white kids got shot and killed. Black kids are killed in Baltimore, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Chicago. Every major city in this country, every weekend, dozens and dozens of kids, black kids are killed. But the Democrats never get organized behind that because, frankly, they don't care about the minorities.
It's the midterms.
The reason they put abortion clinics in the inner cities is to eliminate the black race. It's the height of racism for these walkouts to be occurring as the result of white kids getting killed. Furthermore,
I agree with this guy.
Well, I mean, it's good to be right. So, I mean, but think about this.
Hold on. Let's just take this. I'll push back a little bit more. On all these kids, there's a part of my heart that admires them because whether it's Columbine, whether it was Sandy Hook within a few short miles of this studio, whether it was down in Florida, what's going on is they're on the front lines of these shooting
What I would have liked to see.
So they're crying for their life. They're saying something needs to be done.
What I would have liked to see them do
on gun
is
rights
walk
too
out.
much,
I would
but-
like to see them walk out of school past armed police and metal detectors as they left. That's what I want to see. You want to walk out?
Yeah.
There should be, and not that we should have that. It's your airports, your courts, not banks. They just have guards there. It's horrible that we have to talk like this, but you can pass all the legislation for background checks. You can pass it all for mental health and try to figure that monster out. Until they can figure it out, what would you do? Just send, if my kids are grown, what would you do? Send your kids to school? Are you kidding me? It's a potential shooting gallery. So the kids aren't, I don't think, wrong walking out. They just really have to come to terms with this is a horrible world we're living in today, when from terrorism in the airports to the courthouses with problems with domestic violence and God knows what at the courthouse, to our schools now, all these institutions of government have to have metal detectors and armed police. And that's a reality that's coming.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you, Marty. How many mass shootings have been committed by NRA members?
I thought that was zero. What do you think? I think I'm pretty sure it's zero.
Was Timothy McVeigh in the NRA? Probably.
I think it's zero.
How about that guy in Vegas? Was he in NRA? No, we don't know
probably
that.
CIA, gone rogue, but we don't know for
I'm
sure.
going to go with zero.
Zero's the right number.
Okay.
And yet, they are the ones that are demonized by the left every single day as being responsible for the shootings in the schools. And they've never committed a mass shooting.
I want to talk about the
it does
NRA,
get
'cause
pretty political
I'm going to
pretty
be like, this
quickly.
guy's going left and right on me. I don't know where I'm sitting. But, okay, the NRA, I'm a member. I was a member decades ago. I would criticize, and I'm running for Senate. I'm not saying it because I'm running, but I don't like, I've told a lot of friends.
By the way, running against Senator Murphy.
Chris Murphy,
U.S. Senate.
Mr. Gun Grabber.
Okay.
But the spokesperson I have, Dana, for the NRA, it's tough, it's feminine, it's strong. I think they do better by being less provocative.
The NRA.
The NRA.
Okay.
And not that I don't like
What
her.
have they done that's been provocative?
With her, with this is the end, the commercials are
The new lady.
but the commercial just came out with "Time is up." Like, what do you mean time is up? So it's edgy, but because it's a woman, they're allowing that to happen because they think that she can get away with. If a man did that, your time is up. Some guy NRA with a gun, you'd be like, wait, is he threatening? And Murphy and I think it was Murphy or Blumenthal said it on cable TV last week. He said that is on the edge of not necessarily threatening, but almost a threat.
Well, yeah.
So they're doing that, and I don't think they need to do that.
Well, yeah, I think absolutely positively they do. I mean, the left is the champion of this preposterous
I believe he's to the right of you now. But go ahead.
Well,
He's now to the right.
Well,
I just
about
think
this.
why? When you carry guns are something you keep more private, and she's out there, and don't get me wrong, I love her, and you're NRA and all gun stuff, but when you start looking at the center of America, you say, do we need to, under this atmosphere, push it that much?
Well, I think you do, because if you think about it, this whole movement on Time's Up is a women's rights issue, and it's a movement to support women's in their safety. So right now in America, you have 1 million rapes a year, and the Democrats, their solution is let's disarm women And the conservatives say, no, let's give women a fighting chance. You know, people got to remember, prior to 1350, there were no guns in the world. How did that end for women? Not very well. You know why? Because the really mean, ugly guy looking like me always won against a woman.
Yeah.
Right? So a woman didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
There were no guns. There was no peace and harmony. There was mass hysteria, murders. There were, campaigns that killed tens of thousands of
that's
people.
the angle they're going on with the women with the guns. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's true. I'm not here to criticize it. It's true. But
You're sounding like a liberal here.
Because what happens is it just feeds the left.
But do you really need to worry about that? I mean,
It's not about worrying about it.
Well, you need to focus on doing the right thing, right? And women have to have a voice, and I'm all about women having a voice to defend themselves.
There's nothing wrong with that, but putting that out there as the only face of the NRA, they need another. They need a male face or something else also with her, so that she gets to do the women's right. I think this is the answer.
Okay, this is
They
a
didn't
video.
like they didn't like Charlton Heston either. Right? I mean, they don't like anybody that's the face of the NRA.
Let's
we got to call it straight. Cut them off.
No,
Mike.
this is the one.
Oh, you got the commercial?
Well, and the other thing to remember is that shooting deaths in schools continue to decline. Since 1990, shooting deaths in schools have been dropping dramatically.
Okay, hold on, bear with me. Keep talking, keep talking.
Okay.
It's like rebooting.
It's rebooting. No signal.
Yeah, but
Okay, I'll keep talking, keep talking. I'll clear up.
Well, it's not that I believe they shouldn't use her. They should actually augment it also with school safety, where she's representing the women. The school safety issue is going to be, I think, the biggest thing coming now, because the left does not want, for ideological reasons, an armed police officer. I've been fighting at Starbucks with people just as I talk to them. We don't want any guns in school. I said, even if it's a police officer, even if it's a police officer. I'm just like, who doesn't trust a police officer? They are rabid against an officer, armed officer from a municipality in the school.
Well, yeah. Well, de Blasio, however, came out today and he said he's all in favor of having police officers in schools, just not armed guards. So, I mean, his thing is he's pandering to his base, putting personal safety, or the children's safety aside, and saying armed guards, they're not good enough. We want the union.
Here it is right here.
Jeez Louise.
Ignore it.
The popular guy, Marty.
Hatred,
I know.
the pettiness, the fake news. We are done with
Oh,
your
for the
agenda.
love of Pete. Talk amongst yourselves. This will just
Okay, well,
take a
so
second.
while you're queuing that up, why don't we
So
switch
de
gears?
Blasio came out with that today. So we need Murphy and Blumenthal to get on board with that armed police. And I'm in West Hartford.
Well, why
the
not
arrogance,
pepper spray in the
the
schools?
hatred, the
Well, it's not about
pettiness.
pepper spray.
No, but every teacher should have
We
pepper
are
spray.
done with your agenda to undermine voters' will and individual liberty in America. So to every lying member of the media, to every Hollywood phony, to the role model athletes who use their free speech to alter and undermine what our flag represents, to the politicians who would rather watch America burn than lose 1 ounce of their own personal power, to the late night hosts who think their opinions are the only opinions that matter, to the Joyanne Reeds, the Morning Joes, the Mikas, to those who stain honest reporting with partisanship, to those who bring bias and propaganda to CNN, the Washington Post, and the New York Times, your time is running out.
See, she's
The clock
not really
starts
addressing women
now.
here. If she did, that would be great. Okay. She's attacking, they're using her as a national spokesman against the complete media, the left, the whole bit. But, and again, I'm not here to criticize that, but she'd be much better at hitting the women issue about what you spoke about.
Right.
And then when they hit the media pundit, I think,
That
again,
really looked like the set of the Marty Heiser show, you know?
Yeah.
No, it did.
Can we
Look
pivot
good. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
to what happened in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What happened to Trump?
Trump shouldn't have showed up. He just
He won by 20 points
yeah.
in that area.
But I think he shouldn't have showed up because.
Why? I mean, he won by 20 points.
I think they should learn right now that if there was somebody at home watching him on TV and hate him, the left is able to actually get more of their people that hate him out. And people that are Republican,
You there?
right now, even in Connecticut, people are lazy or we've
So
got
the-
the presidency. Republicans and the right have a tendency to
Okay, you ready to go on?
slack off when they won.
Okay, so
Okay.
what-
Period.
What do you got?
Okay, so we have a caller. Go right ahead, caller.
My name's Matt. I'm a senior at the Richfield High School.
Aha, good. See, these are one of the guys I was talking about. Thank you so much for calling in.
So my question is, Why don't we have armed security guards in our school? What would be the problem with that?
Well, great. Now, Matt, just did
got
you
the answer on that.
before I answer your question, do you participate in the walkout at school this week?
Yes, I did.
And so, what was your motivation and thinking behind that?
Well, I think on Wednesday it was more of a memorial service to those that passed away, and that we have to remember them. I think it was more of a community bonding. It really strengthened the community. I felt empowered by it.
So it was also sort of billed as a memorial, 17 minutes for the 17 students that lost their lives, and was that your thinking behind it?
Yes. And I feel in a way it was sort of a protest, against gun violence in our schools.
Okay, and so you would be in favor of armed guards at the school, is that accurate?
Yes.
And would you?
I'm feeling that.
I was going to say, would you say that a majority of the students you associate with at Ridgefield High School share that opinion, or they would be more frightened to have, quote unquote, a gun in the school?
I think most people would be frightened to have a gun. I think most of them are calling for a repeal on the Second Amendment, or banning assault weapons.
And how about if the gun was in the hand of a trained armed guard? Do you think the majority would be in favor of that?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think if we explained it, that if we train them, they receive military training, and they know how to shoot very well, then I think maybe some of them would accept that idea.
What if
Okay,
it's a
Matt, we
municipal-
have Joe Visconti. He's running for the U.S. Senate against Murphy. He has a question for you. Can you take a couple questions?
Sure.
Matt, what if it was a municipal employee, which is a police officer of Ridgefield? Because this is what we're looking at. As a town council in West Hartford, we do have police at Conard High. So I'm not for arming guards or Murphy guards. I'm thinking a police officer that works for your town, that's trained for your school also, and is dedicated to security for your school. And plus a whole host of exit alarms and doors. I mean, it's not just a police officer.
So how many police officers at a school?
Depends on the school size. Most likely large school too.
Okay, so let's think about that. Let's talk that
Hold on,
through.
just
Go ahead.
so Matt, generally speaking, you would be in favor of that. Is that correct?
Yes, I do not think one armed officer on a campus is enough.
Right.
So that's the right answer.
All right, well, listen, thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in.
Right? There was an armed.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
There was an armed guard or police officer in Columbine, right? Yes. And what happened?
There was one, they just released a video in Broward County
Right, but let me
tonight.
finish on Columbine. So what happened was the guy's plan for when the police officer left the school for his lunch and went out and sat in his car, that's when they attacked. One person is
And how
gonna
many
do
school
nothing.
shootings did we have before that?
What do you mean?
Before Columbine?
We have them regularly. I mean, give me the number.
No, before Columbine.
We have them. I mean, it's
No,
not
no.
uncommon. That's not the first attack in the school.
Before Columbine, what type of Columbine really broke ground on this
What way?
happened?
For
the
mass
biggest
shootings
national
in-
mass shooting that anyone can remember in their mind right now.
So that was the worst attack on a school in American history?
And I didn't say that. I said in our modern time, if you ask anyone, they'll say Columbine.
Well, it got a lot of notoriety once again
on,
because it was white kids. But listen,
No, but the point is-
here's the reality: the worst attack on a school in American history, 1928, Bath, Michigan. What happened?
Their stats from years ago.
But what happened?
Didn't a guy
What was
blow
the-
that place up?
Yeah, exactly. And how many guns were used?
None.
Right, okay. And in Florida, there were cops, and cops showed up, and what did the cops do?
Ran away.
They secured the perimeter. That really helped.
You could-
So the moral of the story is, cops in schools, nothing wrong with it.
Do you
but
feel,
it's, again, it's a false
do you
sense
feel
of
safer
security.
when you go down a plane at an airport? Because there's police officers, there's metal detectors, there's TSA screening.
marshals.
Do you feel safer or not?
Here's the answer.
No, answer the question. Do you?
There's nothing.
I'm
not-
prosecuting you.
There's nothing wrong with police. I'm not opposed to
No,
having
no,
police.
but the point is
I'm
you-
not opposed to having armed guards. I'm not opposed to having teachers that have their pistol permit that can carry concealed
Yeah.
to have a gun.
So what do you oppose
Doesn't bother
to?
me at all. But one cop is not going to make a difference.
I didn't say one cop.
Well, I mean, you said in a big school, two cops. Two cops are going to make.
I said the
difference.
size of the school. Listen, they have to study this and develop what's never been developed.
Yes.
They did that at TSA with our airports after 9/11.
You
It
have
has
to
to be
have
developed,
fire
and we've
drills.
really never really put it together.
You have to have fired, like you talked about.
we
this
had fire-
a couple weeks
how old-
ago,
how old are you?
Is
How old are you?
hardening.
How old are you?
Old enough to know.
How old? No, what's your
Hardening
age? What's your
targets,
age?
Right.
Answer the
Hardening
man's
targets.
You could be-
question.
You could be
He's running for
premature
the
gray.
U.S. Senate.
You could be
I
premature
have-
gray.
Listen, I have no idea where this grade comes from. Every time
That's what I
get
said. He's
my haircut,
30 years
there's more
old.
gray.
If you were 61,
Okay, let him-
62,
go ahead,
you would
Joe.
remember the drills that we had as
Duck and
kids.
cover.
Duck and cover, go down the
remember
fire escapes. I mean, we did that for Russia. So again, it's ludicrous that we have to do this in our day and age of the modern
so-
world. But
So let me go with the whole
let's
piece.
not do anything. Let's
So
just
go
try
with
to
the whole
ban
piece.
guns.
Go ahead and let teachers carry guns. Beautiful thing. Go ahead and allow any teacher that wants to carry pepper spray. It buys you 30 minutes, right? Furthermore, you can put sound sensors in every classroom that identify the type of gun that's been fired and transmit that signal to the local police department so they know exactly where the guns are being fired, what caliber, and how many guns are going off. This is going to be a multi-tier approach, and I agree it's going to be solved at the local level. Furthermore, the root cause of this whole problem is the destruction of the home, right? Social programs have destroyed the home in this country. Little boys are growing up without their dads, and what are they doing? They're frustrated, they're angry, they're mad, and they're taking it out on society. That's the
I
root
think we
cause.
have 18 states that allow teachers to carry arms now.
Uh-huh.
So that does happen in a modern, large city, in the way we live in the Northeast. I don't think that's a starter. I think that's something.
Caller, where are we going
could be
wrong with
An
this?
amendment, but I'm thinking municipal police.
Marty, you gotta tell Dave Streit to stop watching Fox News. I mean, listening to him.
Is that a rerun, Rich?
Watching Fox News verbatim. Now wait a minute. I want to know if you're able to surf. Because what are you going to do when this blue wave hits? And and also, Dave, in 2 weeks, on the 26th, I'm going to be doing a live show. And I'm going to invite you as a man to come down and sit down with Uncle Rich, face to face, man to man, conservative against liberal.
Would I have to look at you, Rich?
He's saying,
Rich, I don't know. Some of the stuff he's doing here is really right wing more than right.
All right. All right, Rich. So you see there's a blue wave coming.
I don't want to be moderated.
Okay, so let's talk about the election in Pennsylvania. What was
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. When you surf, there's a blue wave
I
coming.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the deal.
Where he's hated, and they'll come out when they see him. And the Republicans are lazy and they stay home because we think we got the presidency when they see him.
You know,
and they can stay home.
Mark Levin called me last night for my take on it to get the real scoop, and I told him and Andrew Wilkow and Sean Hannity. I said the real lesson of the election in Pennsylvania was Trump won by 20 points there, not because he was loved so much. It was because Hillary was hated so much.
Bingo.
100%. So they could not have won a worse candidate than Hillary Clinton. And I was thinking about this the other day. Do you know what? Can you imagine what it's like to wake up every day, look in the mirror, and say, I'm the most despicable person on the planet? Right? I mean, that's what Hillary Clinton is faced with right now. A year after the elections, she's still going, and every time she opens her mouth, it's blaming someone else. Now it was blaming weak married women that couldn't make up their own decision. So I mean, this is actually the cover of her new book. I don't know if you want to hold that up. And she's just, this is the story of my life. Can we zoom in on that, Mike?
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, her life story is all about running the mob in Washington.
Well, remember also, Obama had a problem transferring his political capital also during the day, if you remember. A lot of races, because that's how he took the House and the Senate. He was not able to, and this may happen to Trump.
But the candidate in Pennsylvania was pro-life, pro-Second Amendment,
Said he
and
was.
didn't appreciate Pelosi. And that was the Democrat.
He ran as a Democrat.
And that was
He
the
ran as a
Democrat who
Republican.
ran and won.
And
he
he'll
ran
still vote
on the
98%
Okay, right
of the
here, right
time
now,
with
in
the
this
Democrats.
race, not my race, a race for governor I just
Yeah.
got out of, Jonathan Harris, former mayor of West Hartford, where I'm from, fought him for years and things. He's running on his ads on Facebook right now against how did this happen? How did it all occur? He's running as though he's running against the Democrats and he's not there. He was the executive director of their party when they were fined he left it, but they were fined $325,000 for using dirty money from Malloy in 14. He was the commissioner of revenue services. He was a state senator. He's so Democrat and part of the Malloy administration. His ads and everything do the same thing you're talking about. They're running to the right of who they are, and they can get enough people not to know because of the news cycle being 13 seconds, people just don't know. They're counting on the fact that the public will.
While we have you here, give us a few minutes on how your race is going, why you made the jump from governor to U.S. Senate, because I think I know why, but
yeah, okay.
But what do you see as Murphy's weaknesses? And how are you going to be the next United States Senator from the next
About 4
state?
months ago, we realized that's why we stopped even any attempts of raising money. We said, let's see what happens with this race, because we saw more and more gubernatorial candidates coming in, getting funded, but beyond getting funded, just everyone, and they're still piling in. And I said, I don't care if I get by these guys, because I was going straight to primary. It's going to be a potluck jump ball primaries, what we're going to have in Connecticut. Not one. I just left Old Saybrook with half a dozen gubernatorial candidates. I addressed the whole town committee and raced over here from Old Saybrook. And I told them, but I'll tell you now, Murphy brought out 900,000 voters in 2012. Obama was running for re-election. I believe he'll bring out 1 million this time. And the mistake Republican
Wait,
Party.
who's going to bring out 1 million?
Murphy.
Okay.
I believe the mistake the Republicans will make, and I just said this at the microphone to a room of 120 people, Republicans in Old Saybrook, is believing that in this day and age that people in Connecticut will vote Republican for governor and split and go with a Democrat congressperson or US. Those days are over. The rabidness of the left and where we are in history, they're not going to, if we don't, as a party, everyone's on one side of the boat. We got 15 candidates running for governor. There's no one of any name, stature, ever run a statewide race that's running for Congress or U.S. Senate. We have 2 people that I'm going to be competing against. No name recognition, never been elected, never have
Just
run
to get the Republican nomination.
statewide office. The point is, if we don't put some qualified candidates, even if they lose, that they suppress the vote, they attack. I looked at it a few months ago. I said, listen, if I get past these guys, I can't win, because we're not running a full ticket. And so everyone's so excited about the governor, but they're expecting, the Republicans are expecting that a ticket will be split. I'll tell you today, and you know when I tell you something's going to happen, it happens, that we will go down like locusts, they'll take us out. Well, they'll come down on 900,000 plus on their ballot. They'll stay on the D ballot. We can't bring that kind of force out on the Republican ballot. We'll get wiped out.
So you rub shoulders with all these gubernatorial candidates for the past months.
Yeah.
Who do you like? Who are you giving your vote to?
Everyone's been asking me that question. I've stayed away from it, not just because I'm running for Senate and don't want to harm anyone, but or favor someone for any reason. I'm not going to go there. There's more conservative voters, candidates.
But at some point you got to declare, and don't wait too long.
Oh, I'm already in.
No, I'm not. I know you're declaring for Senate, but you got to throw your weight behind one of these.
Yeah, I've been thinking about. For instance, tonight, Aaron Stewart took a picture with me. You'll see it on Twitter. Put a picture, Joe. She's not. I'm a little nuclear. And some of the candidates don't want to come near me because they think, well, he could hurt me, he could help me, so they're staying away.
Too liberal?
No, too conservative or whatever, too original. It's just who I am. So Erin has she's more left of everybody. She's happy and proud to take a picture of me and put it up on Twitter, where a few of the other guys wouldn't even come near me. I said, let's take a picture, and they walked away. I went, you're walking away from me? You're walking away from me? Listen, it's not personal, but the point is,
no, I know.
I want a picture with everybody. I want to help all of them. I told them that.
Yeah.
If some of the candidates actually want to go for signatures, it starts May 1st. I told every candidate in Meriden, Lincoln dinner Saturday night, I'll help any one of you who want to be on the ballot with my team of people. I think more is merrier, but do not take your $1.2 million that you get from the state to run in a primary and beat each other up with that, or we're done. And you're going to have, I think, 6 people. So I looked at that. I decided, let me take Murphy. His weaknesses will be, I'll give you one instance. We're going to come at him a little different than most people think. It won't be a junkyard dog kind of a thing that I'm going to do. What we're looking at, I'll just give you one legal instance that we're looking at with him, and there's many like this. They're more subdued, but if we can really make them build bigger, I think he'll have nowhere to go. Number one, the Department of Motor Vehicles, the state of Connecticut, gives out driver-only licenses to illegal aliens. They gather the information of where they work, because they need to know where they're working. That's why they give them a license. So now the DMV, state employees, know where illegal aliens are working, where they live, and they're taking that data and they're destroying it. That data is evidence in a crime. To harbor illegal, to try to get them. So we're going to look at the RICO statutes. We're going to look at actually putting lawsuits against the state of Connecticut and try to get the feds. And I'm going to be asking Chris Murphy, I'll ask him right now if he's watching on TV, who his people are. Where do you stand as an officer of the court and a lawyer? You got your law degree, and UConn, where do you stand on the fact that you and Blumenthal, never mind the state level people, because there's DOT money that goes into DMV, where do you stand? And this is not about amnesty. This is about where do you stand with the law. We've got 5 or 6 places where he is siding with illegal activity. The harboring, this is very important because it's not about the amnesty issue, it's about the state of Connecticut has destroyed this information because they don't want ICE to have it. But when you pay an employee to gather information, do anything in a crime, that's where your RICO statutes come in. And so the state of Connecticut, we're looking hard at the Justice Department coming in. You saw what Sessions said in Oakland 2 days ago.
Yeah, I was just
he said
thinking
they
about
went and
that.
hit him. We're at that level now, so Murphy could come clean and go, I'm not for that. We think he may say, listen, I don't want to break the law because we're going to press him. You and your party are pushing for breaking federal law.
If you're the Republican nominee, can you get Donald Trump to come in and do
Yes.
a rally for you?
Yes,
That'll be fun.
yes. I have most of, but none of that is important today. Right now, what you have to do is build your base, build your campaign, blah, blah, blah. That's something.
What's your plan for the Connecticut convention in Foxwood Casinos, May 11th and 12th?
Right, we've got 2 offices. We're opening one in Greenwich now and one in Mystic, and we've got over 100 supporters across the state. You'll see pictures of them. We have 2 33-foot Winnebagos. We're ready to take our, you know what I do on the ground.
Yeah.
And so we're going to show the party what we can do. We'll have X amount of money by the time the primary is. Hopefully we'll have 100 grand. I just got in March 1st, so we switched the whole campaign. Went from a state elections enforcement stuff, closed that down, opened up the Fed. It's a lot of paperwork. But even with a few 100,000 like Dan Carter had, and I think it'll be more than that, if I can light this up and we hit the MAGA people, one tweet from Trump will get me $5 million.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that's down the road.
Him and Trump were like 2 peas in a pod. I've seen it.
That's not
He
today.
was up there, where were you up there?
got
New
better
Hampshire
hair.
and stuff like that? You were up in New Hampshire
I
knocking
was
on
all
doors
over.
for
But
Trump?
the point is, the government, maybe we don't want him. Maybe he'll do what he did in Pennsylvania.
That's true.
Maybe he'll bring out so many people
Maybe
that hate
a
him.
fundraiser or something
But
like that.
the rest of the staff and the people that I've worked with across the country, most of his campaign crew for all the states are not working in the 2020 campaign. So they're all my peeps, and we're going to bring them into Connecticut. The MAGA people that worked in all the different states to help us, because most of our Republicans here have lost faith that they could ever win.
Okay, switching gears here. Now we're in the lightning round here. This is this is a video of our former president talking about elections. Cheryl, if we can get the video up, that'd be great. And what is he talking about, and what are your thoughts?
Well, the liberals are once again waging the war against women and opposing the appointment of Gina Haspel to run the CIA.
You could even rig America's elections, in part because they're so decentralized and the numbers of votes involved. There's no evidence that that has happened in the past, or that there are instances in which that will happen this time. And so I'd advise Ms.
Marty,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Why don't
then
we
you
wrap
just-
up this segment, because we got a special surprise guest coming on.
I understand that, but go ahead.
So, my point was that, what's Gina Haspel's crime? She cleared the sinuses, of a few terrorists to save American lives, right? That's what she did, right? She's being accused of, you're behind
talking
the
about the new
head of the CIA, Gina
head of the
Haspel.
CIA, right?
Yeah.
I understand. Yes,
So, that's the deal.
that's all you got on her. What about Venezuela?
Well, yeah, we could go on Venezuela, but that'll go on for a while. And I just really want to light up Rich while I still have a chance. March 12, 2018, another expedition to the Antarctic to find some shred of proof that somehow or other man is playing a role in creating global warming is once again brought to a screeching halt because
They were frozen
got
in the
stuck
ice.
in the ice again. And so the scientist that once again, because he's been on numerous trips and they always get stuck in the ice, he said, his comment was, this kind of thing is happening so often to us, it makes you wonder if the climate is trying to tell us something. Rich, God is trying to tell you something. You guys are idiots. Believing in global warming? Forget about it. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. Back to you.
Okay, and then the last thing you were talking about too was in Venezuela. There were some issues in Venezuela that you were talking about. How that's like a sample of communism, and
Well,
how
that's
it
what
works.
the Democrats want to do for you, what they've done for Illinois, what they've done for Venezuela, what they're doing for New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, bankrupting everyone and making everybody wards of the state. So, Venezuela right now is stuck with 4,000% inflation. And let me just put that in relative basis so you can kind of relate to it a little bit. A cup of coffee went from 1,800 bolivars to 75,000 bolivars in 12 months. So now what's happening is, in order to determine how much money you've got, they put it on scales to weigh your money. And what's happening is, and this is not a joke, but it's overwhelming the scales, and the scales can't hold that much weight to pay for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Ultimately what we likely, when China takes over dominance of the global currency and we're no longer the reserve currency, that's what happens to us at some point.
This is a video of in Venezuela now. They're so hungry that they're actually attacking cows in fields just to eat the field, so they have food coming up. But if we can get this video real quick, we'll at least get one of these in. But these are in Venezuela. They're actually attacking cows because they're so hungry. They're hijacking food trucks. This is the people finally are just going out into the fields, farmers' fields, dairy cattle, whatever it takes just to feed themselves. And this is a communist utopia.
On average, they lost 15 pounds last year because they're starving.
Yeah.
It's quite tragic.
I mean, this is
it's
what
all because of socialism and liberalism. It fails everywhere it's been tried.
Yeah. It's
anyway.
It's incredible. Okay, we do have a special guest who's going to be working his way over here and joining us. And I want to thank so much Joe Visconti from coming in. Remember that name, Joe Visconti. You may have heard him because he ran in the past. He's a Republican. He's a good guy. I had the pleasure of being with him election night at the Trump celebration at the Hilton Hotel in Manhattan. I want to tell you that was some night. I actually have a couple pictures I could show you, but the vast IT program here at the Marty Heiser Show is acting up just a little bit, but it was incredible. And it's interesting. I opened the show by talking about the division that I see among friends, among people that you might otherwise know. You don't look at them as just your fellow resident of the town, but you look at them as someone who voted for Trump or someone who's angry that Trump is in office. And I think we need to somehow get over that just a little bit if we can. Now, you've heard us talk a lot about Tony Simon, Tony Lombardi, AKA Tony Lombardi, and he is here in our studio. Tony, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. There you are on television.
I can see you. I saw your phone out inside of the thing there.
Yeah, what do you think of this? Is this kind of half-cocked, doing the videos here?
Yeah,
someone calls.
I saw the video.
No, it's very confusing.
Slide over this way. Slide over. We gotta see that good-looking face. You thought I was the trendsetter with the glasses? Look at these.
Tony, you got the glasses.
I took after him, and you took after me.
I took after you,
He's
too.
the guy who started the whole movement.
It looks good. It's a good look for us. It makes us look smart.
I heard what you said tonight about politics. I heard.
Yeah.
About
what do you think?
I think Mrs. Clinton said, "What did you see about the wars he's talking about?" That was the thing. She said, "What's going on with our country? It's going up so much money."
Well, I know, and she's the one that got $120 million from the Russians to give up our uranium supply.
Yeah, and then Cairo got shot up in Cairo. The troops are getting beat up down there in Cairo, and I heard about people in Bangladesh when he went a long time ago. They got
Bangladesh. That's right. You remember that show?
People were dead. People were dead.
Marty fits in everywhere. He can travel the world and blend.
Backwards.
Right?
I didn't blend very good in Bangladesh.
No,
but Tony, all right, a couple things. What? Now, your name is Tony Lombardi, right?
Right, that's right.
Okay, so where did Tony Simon, and could you show the vast viewing audience your mug there?
Yeah.
Because you got Tony Simon.
Pointed at this camera here.
This camera
Tony,
here.
right, Tony,
right,
that camera right there.
Yeah.
This one
here.
here.
Just why don't you take the mug?
Here we go.
All right, here we go. All right, so what is this mug, Tony Simon, and how did you get that name, Simon?
Oh, I had that for many years ago. I was a kid. I used to have that for many years ago. But my friend gave that to me for many years.
So you had that mug, and you were on this show a while back, and somehow the studio inherited that mug.
Yeah.
Are you going to take that mug home with you, or are you going to keep it here at the studio?
I'll take it.
Since we've had that mug on the show, the ratings have skyrocketed. People love the show.
They do?
Yeah, and when you call in, everybody loves you.
I can hear you. You were talking too much.
I don't talk enough.
You talking about the money. You said the money a long time ago. I said, what's going on with David?
And what did you say?
I said, Dave talks too much. I heard one day.
You know,
That is
did
so
you get that
true.
from my wife? Is she the one that gave you that
Your
line?
wife, that's what your wife said.
I know. Is she your biggest fan or
Your
what?
wife, yeah, your wife is.
Yeah, she's the president of your fan club.
I know.
Every morning she starts the day and says, I need to call Tony and see how Tony's doing. And you
heard-
know what she loves the most?
What?
She loves it when you pray for her.
I do.
Because you have the most beautiful, you're gifted at praying. Do you know that?
I do to you too, because you started it the best. But I tell you what you said tonight about people in the civil wars we have in China there, in Bangladesh, and the people getting killed. But I heard you talking about Steve. What was his name? I forgot.
Well, we talked about a lot of things.
Stephen Hawkins, that's who it was.
Hawkins
That's right.
died. He was
Stephen
76 years old.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
76
No longer an
years-
atheist. Well, tell me about Donald Trump. What do you think about Donald Trump?
But he's a dirty rat. I tell you, he wants the civil wars destroyed. He wants the people who wanted to vote against him. And he's trying to get his other guy, what was that guy's name?
Mueller.
Mueller. And he wanted to vote against him. And he wanted to say, hey, what's going on with this guy? This guy's a nut.
Did he do the right thing firing Rex Tillerson?
I heard that. Yeah, he fired him.
Yeah, what did you think about that? The guy found out in the news. He was watching TV on the news and he gets fired.
I know, he got fired.
Yeah.
And the guy threw him out the door.
You know why he got fired?
What?
He talks too much.
It's like you. Just like him. I know. I heard what Joe said. I heard what Joe said tonight. The senator said. I heard what he said, but.
Okay, listen, your drawings of Marty and Carolyn are priceless.
They're very good.
Now, how come you draw twice as many of Carolyn as you do Marty?
Well, I get your house, Caroline, from here. When I start drawing your house, both of yours,
Yeah.
I get a different spot of your house.
Well, I can tell you one thing, they feel the love. I mean, it's obvious you love them. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, he's getting calls everywhere.
I get calls. Calls are coming
Everywhere,
in.
everywhere he goes. Everybody knows Marty.
I heard Rich call.
Rich was calling in. Yeah.
I heard.
And a high school student from Ridgeville calling in.
I heard.
Okay, now when I talked to you, I said, what are some things you wanted to talk to you? You wanted to talk about your Christian faith.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about America, and you wanted to talk about North Korea. So we're kind of in the lightning round here
All right.
now. So tell me about your Christian faith.
Now, the Christian faith is about
really
God's
wanna come
power. When Jesus came back from the earth, and he came back one day and he said, the people didn't want God back there for many years ago. He traveled to Jerusalem. It's the largest country, you see, and was burned up down in Jerusalem. And I heard about this a little time ago in the news today. But Jerusalem's not too bad. They knocked every building down in Jerusalem. There's one in Chicago getting shot up and people getting killed with cars. And
All right. You covered a lot of ground. Hold on 1 second, because
We're out of
Rich
time. We
calling
got
in.
30
Rich,
seconds.
real
He's gotta
quick,
go.
what do you got?
Real quick, what you got?
He's got to turn some.
Dave's gonna take me up and be on my show.
Good question. Good question. Right now on live TV.
Rich,
are you going to come in? Are you
I would
gonna
love
go
to
on the
match.
show?
I'd love to match wits with him, but he's half prepared. So, yeah.
So is that a yes or no?
I'll show up anytime. That's fine.
There you
Anyway,
go. You have it. He's going to
what
show
would you
us.
like to tell Marty?
I just want. No, we're good. Right on. Just want to thank you for coming on.
yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Give me one word about Dave.
Well, he talks too much.
He talks too much. Dave Streit absolutely talks too much. Thank you for joining
You're
us
gonna
on the
make
Marty
me famous,
Heiser
you know.
Show.
I know, I will.
I completely agree with Tony. Dave talks too much. Next week, we're going to have Mayor Mark Bowden in. Probably the next governor of the state of Connecticut. Mayor Mark Bowden will be in studio. Thanks for joining us. And thank you, Matt, for calling in. And all the students, I'm proud of you. You're taking a stance. We need to protect you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.